Good. Okay, good.
1, 2, 3.
I mean, it's a midweek Joag, folks. Welcome. Yeah, I know.
Bonkers.
Fucking
what is this?
Rip up the rules, throw them on the fucking fireplace.
Just no respect.
Up is down, right is left. You know what I mean? We're like,
I don't even know anymore.
But hopefully less people are going to die from less people are going to get decapitated by a helicopter during the recording of this podcast. I hope.
I really hope so. Jesus Christ. Mark, it's wonderful how you can always start these by stressing me out with some strange, hypothetical. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what else you've got for me.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. Look, all I want to say is it's been a vintage week or two over here in the UK for Joag flavored murders.
Oh, yeah. Seriously, let's talk about it.
Vintage week here in the UK for murders that fall within our sphere of interest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Look, once again, here comes my usual Joag disclaimer. Please don't think there's any lasciviousness or any salivating or any kind of fucking grief jerking as I talk about these. Absolutely not. I'm jerking nothing.
Good news.
and I'm on camera.
This time people can see you. So, hey, video evidence. There is no jerking of any kind happening here.
Don't take my word for it. I'm yanking nothing as I talk about these, but there have been two particular murders which have made the news big time over here in the past couple of weeks, which it would be remiss of me not to mention this week on Joag because they fall squarely within our wheelhouse. Just 2 days ago, a kid of 15, convicted of murdering his friend who was just 12 at the time. This kid was 14 at the time of the murder, and just killed his friend in the most brutal and upsetting.
It's horrifying.
Yes. A quote from the trial. I mean, this kid stabbed his friend more than 70 times, and the attack was, quote, brutal and prolonged. And
it was like basically from the article that you sent to me, it was saying that not only did he stab him these bajillion times that he did, but that it was consistent with attempting to decapitate this person, which is always one of those things, you see this come up in things from time to time. It's really difficult to decapitate a person, much like it's difficult to suffocate or strangle a person, things like that. It's really hard to do, and this kid gave it the old college try, and I guess he didn't manage to do it, but imagine a 14-year-old kid
doing his damned best to decapitate a 12-year-old, to decapitate his friend of 12. I can take my mind to some pretty fucking dark places, but this one is so far out of my realm of experience. Being able to, and over something seemingly so fucking trivial. I mean, this kid, by all accounts, had ideas of setting himself up as a little kind of small-time drug peddler, purveyor of narcotics in a fucking very small-scale teenage kind of way, an argument over a fucking small sum of money.
This is one of those things.
BBC,
sorry, go ahead.
To quote the BBC, as well as an attempt to decapitate Roberts, the judge also said there were injuries consistent with someone trying to remove the hand or fingers.
Yeah. What was that, an identification thing? This didn't work, I'm just gonna take the hands off and they won't know who it was?
Fuck only knows.
No one's gonna notice this 12-year-old who went missing. I have this thing about this really, so it's this small time drugs issue and whatnot. I find that all forms of gangs, whether you're talking about drug dealers, whether you're talking about street gangs, whether you're talking about the fucking military, all of it is cosplay to me. And all of this, no matter what age you are, is doofusy as fuck. There is no reason to kill people over this dumb bullshit. And when you're like a teenager, like also you have none of the like filters that stop you from doing dumb things. Like I'm listening to a podcast right now about a group of kids who killed one of them, like one of their mothers, and they were planning to kill all of their parents. And it's like they were just like mad that they were like they had restrictions on their lives, you know, and they were like, oh no, I better get it. Like I wish people didn't feel the need to cosplay tough all the time.
I would hazard that. I mean, you've spoken to me about, you know, you've had family members who've fallen foul of an opioid epidemic in your neck of the woods. Yes.
Oh yes.
I would guess that what we're talking about here with these kids is very different to what narcotics sales might be, where, you know, from your area of experience. This is a place in Lincolnshire, right? A small part, the outskirts of a fucking county called Lincolnshire, called Fishtoft, near Boston in Lincolnshire, where a 14-year-old has killed a 12-year-old. Fishtoft, yeah, Fishtoft.
I love when a story from the UK takes place in this place that sounds like I made it up when making up a UK place.
Fishtoft, near Boston in Lincolnshire, where a 14-year-old has tried to cut off the head and hands of his mate. You know, these kids aren't even cosplaying tough. These kids are so far removed from what you would consider to be the narcotics trade. It's apples and oranges.
But that's exactly it. It's like that they think that they're a part of something. That's what I mean by it's cosplay. Is like, oh, I'm this big bad guy who's like, oh, I'm gonna sell drugs, and this guy was like on my turf, and like you're like a middle class kid. Like, seriously. But also they're children, like, and children have no judgment. So, you know, it's like it's a mix of those things of just like kids who think that they're really doing something, and also the fact
and it's fucking tragic. I mean, the victim was found 2 days before his 13th birthday.
It's just, you know, they were like making plans and all that. That just is, it's just so sad. And everything about it frustrates me. There's just like what is worth killing people for? You know, there's not as many things as you think there are.
Yeah, completely true. 50 quid in Fishtoft is not worth hacking a fucking preteen's hand off.
Rage involved with that. It'll be interesting to see what, like, I'm sure there will be documentaries and things that come out about this case, because it's so intense. And just what that goes beyond, I don't know. It's to be able to do that and not like puke and to have that kind of rage in you. There's so much more to that than even just the drug thing. You know, there's to be able to do that to another person at the age of 14.
Well, here's, you know, if that's a head scratcher, the second case that's been all over the news lately is one which altogether more arbitrary. Two sisters were stabbed to death recently in Wembley, just, you know, on the kind of outskirts of London, by a 19-year-old guy called Daniel Hussein. Is this? Have I spoken to you about this? He killed two sisters.
No, and I haven't seen this at all, I don't think.
Bieber Henry, Nicole Smallman, who were just out celebrating a birthday party. They were targeted seemingly at random, stabbed to death, repeatedly stabbed until dead, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The killer did it in a supposed pact, a demonic pact. He'd made a deal with some fucking demon or other in his head, in a deal to win the lottery. He had promised some demonic presence, female sacrifices, in order to kind of welcome riches into his life. Crazy shit, absolutely crazy shit. When they searched this guy's room, they found a letter which he'd written, a handwritten letter, signed with his own blood, by the way. Signed Daniel in his own blood, and in the letter he'd promised to sacrifice 6 women every 6 months.
Feels unrealistic, sir.
He's swinging for the fences. You know?
No, I don't think that's gonna work.
In exchange for a lottery win in exchange. You know what I mean? Such huge stakes for such for a fucking lottery win.
I mean, that's better than the drugs, I guess. You know, he had much bigger aspirations. He'd be set for life, I guess. And once you're rich, you can kill as many people as you want. So more realistic, I suppose, if that deal were a real thing. If he actually won the lottery, he could kill plenty of women and nobody would care.
I'll take your word for it. You seem quite well informed.
It's what rich people do, isn't it?
Look
at Armie Hammer.
Get rich, kill women.
Yeah, dude's like talking about eating women's flesh and whatnot. I just assume that's what rich people do when they get rich, is just kill people.
Kill women.
But that is
women
horrifying.
It's completely fucked. Go on.
This is another weird hang up of mine too, is like stabbing as killing, because obviously that is super like way more common in the UK than it is here. Which is a constant like thing that people who don't want any form of like restrictions on guns talk about, like, oh, are we gonna like ban knives now too?
Of course I hear that one a lot.
Whatever. But I also find stabbing as a means of killing one that is difficult for me to understand, because it feels like it'd be easy to get away from, but I don't know. Have you ever seen someone stabbed?
I've read an account from someone who'd been stabbed, of the experience of being stabbed. A forum I used to be a member of, one of the regular posters on the forum, his house was broken into and he was stabbed repeatedly. And he recounted the experience. You know, he survived and was treated and made it. And he recounted the experience of, you know, quite rationally, quite calmly feeling life leaving you, seeing blood leaving your body, and having time, you know, having a certain amount of time
to think, slow.
Oh, okay, dying. I
mean, it feels like they would have to hit you in the right place in the first place to incapacitate you enough that you couldn't be like, hit him with a hook and, you know.
I've seen plenty of people get shot, but I've never seen anyone repeatedly get stabbed. And
aside from in movies where it's like always like someone with like a machete from behind straight through the, like, you know, it's not.
But as we've spoken about plenty of times, I am always stunned at just how difficult it is to shoot someone to death. They keep fucking coming.
Right. Well, and that's it. It's hard to shoot someone to death. Why is it so easy to stab people to death? I don't understand this as a thing. And this is not, you know, I just want to, like, as a disclaimer, I'm not like victim blaming people or anything like that here. It's a means, a way of dying that does not make sense to me at all. It seems like you can get away from a knife.
Well, again, let's look at the fucking numbers involved here. Our kid been stabbed more than 70 times. That, you know, you're not running away from that.
No, and that feels like he was probably, I mean, it's a bigger person. He's pinned down, probably wasn't expecting it because it was a person he knew and was friends with. Like, you know, it's more the random stabbings that confuse me. Like sometimes someone will go and like stab and kill like 12 people at a time. And I don't understand how that happens. Like you see the knife, you run away from it or whatever. And I don't, it's very confusing to me.
I don't know if mass stabbings are common.
Not common, but they happen occasionally. I have seen them in the news again, because in America, people always try to justify gun violence by going, well, look at this stabbing that happened in Korea or whatever, you know? So it does occasionally happen that a group of people will be stabbed, or even in this case, the story you're talking about, 2 people. How did 2 people get stabbed? Once the first one gets stabbed, how did the second person get stabbed?
The inevitable pushback is if this guy was making pacts with fictional demons, one of which in another letter in his room was called, let me see, the Demon Queen Byleth.
Byleth?
Byleth, Byleth, which isn't one I've heard of. But he was big on his pact with fictional demons. In another note found in his room, Hussein offered blood to, quote, Demon Queen Byleth, unquote, in exchange for making a girl at his school fall in love with him. So he was well into it. He loved all that.
How old was this guy?
19.
And his last name's Hussein?
Yes.
So he's probably of Muslim origin, but that is not some Muslim shit.
Oh no, certainly not. But he'd had history since being 15 with, you know, kind of radicalization, and was on the radar of government kind of counter extremist. So
interesting. But for not see, that's also fascinating because he's, you know, on the radar for extremist stuff, probably for being Muslim, when really this is like some weird like extreme, like someone who takes Satanism literally kind of shit instead of actual Islamic belief. So that's kind of fascinating in and of itself. They're watching him, but
for the wrong entirely
entirely the wrong thing. That's a really interesting and terrible story. And
a couple of them, yes.
I hate it.
So
I hate it so
you know,
much.
listen, hey, while yes, you're no doubt and rightfully chuffed at having some midweek Joag, I apologize that it's got to start with.
Starts really dark with people dying.
Starts dark.
People being stabbed and whatnot. Cool. But what we really came here to talk about in this midweek Joag was movies we've watched. And,
because
and the reason that we didn't do this earlier was, dear Mark, you've been under the weather.
I've been under the weather, and so have others in my household. My youngest son, Owen, presented with a brand new hacky kind of cough. And as we all know, when someone in your home has a new hacky cough, you've got to lock down the doors, you've got to bolt the windows, you've got to chalk some kind of fucking symbol on your front door. You've got to daub goat's blood on your walls. And,
I believe that is the protocol.
It is. That's what the health minister is now advising us to do in lieu of any fucking realistic strategy. Daubing blood and symbols. They don't even tell us which symbols.
Yeah, it's as good as any other strategy that the government's doing right now.
Yeah.
So
grab a chicken and wring it out and draw a fucking cock on your door, because that's what the government might as well be telling us to do. Draw a cock in chicken's blood to ward off
So Peter
COVID.
Escaped this, though, yeah?
He did.
The rest, the whole family except for Peter.
It was me and Owen.
Not Laura.
No, it was just me and Owen. But we took him for tests. We had to wait a couple of days for the result. It was negatory. So I hastily scrubbed the chicken's blood cock off my door and back to business, back to it. But yes, long story short, no Joag Sunday. So, hey, surprise. We thought we'd have a little mini video Joag.
I know exactly why you needed to do this too, is because you did not want to throw off the 50-second episode.
Yeah, well, there is that too. I didn't want to misalign our roadmap to the 50-second, because that's all everything in my life is pointed towards that.
Has been leading towards this moment.
I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but CoRri just shot the fuck down my big idea for the 50-second episode.
Yeah, I did, because it was a terrible idea.
But is that what makes it brilliant, right?
No. Regular bad idea. Go ahead. You tell them. You tell them what your idea was.
Episode 52, Jack of all graves. It's the 1 year spectacular, right? My concept was, let's just fucking put the Zoom link on Twitter for any fucker to wander in on at any point.
Yeah. Do you know how many penises we'd have to look out? All of you. I know every single one of you listening to this right now went, there'd be a lot of masturbation. That's exactly what would happen. I tried chat roulette when that was a thing. I went on like the early things where you could stream yourself just hanging out, and there were constant dicks. All I got were dicks. So there's just, you can't do that. Even when I put my Spotify playlist out a couple weeks ago, and someone deleted my Spotify playlist.
Yeah, that was just malicious bastard.
Nobody does good things when you give a random link out.
We could call it Whack of all graves.
Oh, fuck.
Come on. We could just put the fucking put the Zoom link up with a time and just open the door to it and record the chaos. But anyway, that's what we're not doing. We're not doing
that's not what is happening. We've got a couple other good ideas about what we could do for our 1 year episode. And none of them will involve strangers.
I'm just gonna get my dick out instead. Episode 52. Here's my dick, everyone. I invite you all to comment on my penis.
Plot twist.
Instead of loads of dicks, just one. We'll go the other way.
I just open up Zoom and I'm like, ah!
I'll write episode 52 on it.
Oh no. I promise that's not what episode 52 is.
Or is it?
Okay, well.
I don't know.
I guess I can't promise that.
No. Tune in. There's only one way you're going to find out, and that's tune in.
That's to tune in. Episode 52. Oh, Christ.
Oh, God. Do you ever... Oh, I just smiled so much. My head hurt. The skin of my head started to hurt because I've smiled so much. Oh.
It's an unusual practice for you.
True. You'll be delighted to hear that England have, in fact, won the game.
I'll be delighted to hear that. Who are you talking to?
You, because, that's the reason why we're so fucking late recording tonight, was because there's some football happening.
I don't understand the footy. I feel like I shouldn't make fun of it because I do like sports. I am a sports person. Okay. But also I don't get it at all. And as I said before we started recording, like I've watched Ted Lasso through so many times and I love that to the core of my being. And I still don't. Normally when I watch something, like for example, I watched Ray Donovan and I joined a boxing gym. I was like, fuck, I'm a box.
You are so impressionable.
So impressionable. And it was cool as shit. I loved it. I was so into it. It's not great with my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but I got a kick out of boxing. Like I can get into whatever. Same thing when I started watching AEW. My husband was like, just CoRri, you can't try to do this, okay? Like this is not a thing you can
remember
do.
Your syndrome. You've got a syndrome, CoRri.
But can't I?
Maybe a little.
Maybe AEW needs a disabled wrestler. Have we considered this? So, like I can get into most things. I have watched Bend It Like Beckham 9 million times. I have watched Ted Lasso 9 million times. You will still never catch me ever watching real soccer. It is...
Well, one thing I'm never going to do is, my favorite way of thinking about it is millions and millions and millions and millions of people can't all be fucking wrong.
Most of the world likes this.
Yes.
I don't get it, but and it is a very athletic sport, and I get that. As someone who really likes athleticism, I get that. I enjoy watching someone do tricks with a soccer ball. If someone's like bouncing it around on their knees and their heads and their elbows and whatever they're doing, that's fun.
I'm pretty sure there was a one-legged guy in WWE at some point.
Really?
Yes. Hang on a sec. I should know this.
By the way, I just so yesterday.
Yeah, there we go.
Someone
his name was Zach Gowen. So he was in the WWE in 2002, and he had one fucking leg.
Good for him.
Indeed, yes. Go on, you were saying.
See, it's my time. Fuck all of you. Fuck you. Fuck Keo. I am joining AEW, and you can't stop me. I don't remember what I was going to say, so it's fine.
Yeah, I interrupted. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We were in between two conversations. It's totally cool.
I'd love to write for you. I'd love to write your character. I'm sure I could come up with some pretty fucking... I'm sure you'd be a headline grabber.
I don't doubt that for a second. So, hey, listen, a year from now, watch for me on AEW. Anyways, should we talk about some movies that we've watched lately? I've watched a shit ton of movies lately.
Yeah, we've been packing them in, haven't we? Some
big time.
Some good ones too. Just give me the titles. What have you seen of late?
Okay, let me look at my letterboxd here. I have watched Werewolves Within, The Tomorrow War, Independence Day, Jaws, Alita, Brain Dead. I mean, dead alive, but Fear Street, The Forever Purge, The Stuff, The Amusement Park, Vicious Fun.
Oh, wow. You've been packing them in.
I've
big
been
fucking
really
names
packing them
there.
in. Yeah, I was not fucking around this past week and a half. Let me tell you.
Right. Let's just rip through the ones that we both have in common there that we've seen. Was it the first time seeing The Stuff?
It was my first time seeing this stuff. This was this week's Dead and Lovely. And so I paused. The Dead and Lovely episode was 3.5 hours long. I listened to it all week. And every single workout I was listening to this Dead and Lovely, but they were doing the stuff. And so I had time to then watch it before finishing it up to the point where they got to it. And boy, that was
isn't it?
Yeah, what do you think of the stuff?
I saw the stuff quite recently myself. In fact.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Checking Letterboxd, I saw the stuff. Let me just take a look. Quite recent. I saw the stuff. Baby.
Oh my God. Don't you sing that New Kids on the Block to me. You know that gets me going.
Stop. Yeah, I saw well, quite recently. 21st of September 2019 was the last time I saw the stuff. Okay. And it is a belter, an absolute belter.
That is a wild movie.
It is.
And it's fun. Like, I think out the gate, it starts just at such absurdity because the opening scene is like this guy seeing this stuff coming up out of the ground, going up and just tasting it right away.
Yep.
And so you know what you're in for from that moment. Like, if this is where we begin, okay, all the rules are out the window. People don't have to act like real people. It's, this commentary on consumerism and whatnot. And it's just, it's a fun movie.
Yes, it is. And when it plays its card and when it goes in with the body horror and when, when it unleashes some of those fucking amazing prosthetics that it has up its sleeve, really fun time. Yeah. I'm really glad you saw that.
I've seen people with it as their Twitter avatar and stuff. Like there's the part where one of the characters gets got and it's like his like face kind of expands and his mouth opens real wide and he like all this, and I've seen it all over the place.
You're talking about that.
That's it. That's the picture. Yes, I see that all the time. And so when it came on, I was straight up Leonardo DiCaprio face. Like, I was like, that's it. Oh, that's where that came from.
Fantastic.
Which was really cool. So the stuff I absolutely recommend. It is like an hour and 20 minutes, so not a long investment. As they pointed out on Dead and Lovely, it does drag a little bit at points, so it feels a little longer than it is, but it's a fun watch. You can't go wrong with it, I think.
What led you to Brain Dead again?
Again, Dead and Lovely.
Okay.
It was
nice work, guys.
Yeah, they're doing. Oh, I didn't even notice you're wearing the shirt.
Yes, indeed.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was the Scream and Chat this week, and so I was, I sat on my front porch in my love sack and watched it, and it was, it was fun because there were a couple people who had never seen it before, and one guy who was not sold on it at all, and the whole time just kept being like, what am I watching?
What the fuck has to be wrong with you?
It's just lean in to this movie. I mean, and every time I watch this, like it's too horror, like it triggers all the things that make me want to throw up. And like, even at one point, like, so, the ear in the soup or whatever.
The
custard. In the ear in the custard.
It's so well written as well.
Closed my
shit
eyes.
That guy comes up with.
I closed my eyes and I was like, okay. And the sound got me and I still threw up in my mouth. It's
insane. Oh, it was only very recently, and I'm certain you will have seen the photos too, but it's only very recently, like within the last few months, that I realized, having seen that film, very high double figures. I must have seen that film 50, 60, 70 times.
Yeah.
It's only very recently I learned through seeing a photo on Twitter that the early on in the film, where we have a lovely little opening sequence of him driving through that New Zealand town, and you see the tram and the cars that are passing you by, and you see the storefronts, and it's a beautiful little picturesque village. It's a miniature. That entire fucking shot is a miniature.
Stop. What?
I shit you not. There's a terrific shot that's doing the rounds of Twitter of Peter Jackson leaning over this beautiful miniature with the trams and the fucking cars, which I'll post. I'll post on our Twitter because it absolutely
I can just
blew my
hear,
mind.
by the way, Ben and Jason are listening to this and they're both going bigatures, which is what they would always do because of the special features behind Lord of the Rings.
Right,
and they called them bigatures.
Then that's what it is. It's a bigature.
Yeah, that's incredible though, because you cannot tell.
Nope, it's beautifully done. Beautifully done. Which, you know, it's one of those classic effects that doesn't draw attention to itself and does a fantastic job by just blending into the background. Beautiful.
Honestly, and having been to New Zealand, like I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this really evokes that New Zealandness. I was genuinely wondering, like, I wonder where this was filmed in that intro. So that's that's incredible. My favorite thing about this movie is the leading man and his physical comedy and his expressions. And I IMDb him every time I watch it, and he hasn't been in like a ton other than that.
No, he hasn't. Timothy Baum, I believe his name is.
I'm not entirely sure, honestly, because I IMDb him every time.
I would swear to it. That's Timothy Baum.
He is so funny.
Yes.
And I just get a kick out of him throughout that entire movie.
Facially, there's something quite David Tennant about him, I find.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
But he's got this wonderful liquid kind of body. He can spin really well. What's the best way of putting it? He's very good at appearing clumsy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He fakes clumsy very well.
He's Buster Keaton-esque, honestly. He's so good at making it look natural to be clumsy in a way that requires incredible skill. And the scene with the zombie baby in that is just, I think, like,
wonderful.
It's unmatched. It's such a great
on a par with the wonderful kind of slapstick bit with the possessed hand in Evil Dead 2. It's that kind of level of physical comedy. And also, you know, there's been, what with Richard Donner dying this week, there's been a lot said of a gif has been doing the rounds of Christopher Reeve simply taking off his glasses and switching from Clark Kent to Superman in the space of a few seconds. Just his physicality, his body straightens up and his chin sets, and immediately he becomes Superman just by taking off his glasses. And it's wonderful, right? But
I haven't seen that, but I love this concept.
But there's a second in Brain Dead, right, where Lionel is wielding the lawnmower, right? And he's about to take his second pass through the horde in his fucking house. And Paquita just comes into shot, slips the amulet over his head and gives him a kiss. And he grows 10 feet tall. You know, he becomes the fucking hero just in that instant. And then he fires up the fucking lawnmower and goes at it. It's oh God, it's a symphony, that film. I love it.
It's one of the few movies that when I look at, I always like to see what people I have in common like on Letterboxd, and there is no one on Letterboxd that I am friends with who has rated that less than a 4. Like it's a 4 or a 5 movie for everyone. I think, it's just, it hits, and you have to be prepared, FYI, if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go watch Brain Dead, which is not available streaming regularly in America, but you can find it on YouTube. Just Google Brain Dead full movie, or if you can't find it, just message me and I will send you the link.
Yes,
but you have to be prepared for how goddamn gross this movie is.
It deserves its place in the horror pantheon. No film has ever gone there like Brain Dead goes there.
It honestly, I think it straddles the like middle column, right column line, because it is a lot of fun.
It does,
but it's a bad time if you're not ready for it.
The very virtue of its excess is what gives it a pass. Any one of those kills, you could build a fucking movie around, right? any one of those kills in isolation, you could dedicate a half hour to, and it would be a climactic moment of horror. But then, 4 seconds later, there's another one. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it has no moral compass. It gleefully. The screenplay is full of fucking offhand gags about pedophilia, and it's a very fucking, just like his earlier Meet the Feebles. It has no moral compass at all. It simply doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. And that's why it's such a glorious time.
And somehow manages to be very cute at the same time, which is what is the real triumph of this. You watch this, and at the end of it, you're like, that was adorable.
Yeah,
like
it's
what?
It's a love story in the truest sense. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. I think we both watched Werewolves Within this week. Yeah. What did you think?
Everyone sure loves that film, don't they?
They do. Yeah.
Everyone else sure enjoys that film.
I really, really enjoyed it. I'm really into the lead in that as well, Sam Richardson. His name is like excellent. so normal. I can't I don't acknowledge it. But anyway, I love him. Same with Tomorrow War. That movie is kind of garbage, but he's so good in it. I was ready to 4-star this movie, and the last 15 minutes of it just shit the bed to me. I was not in.
It wasn't what I wanted.
What did you want?
I am ready after Wolf of Snow Hollow.
It shares a lot in tone with Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is a better movie by far.
It is a better movie by far. Wolf of Snow Hollow is just that little bit more cynical. It's a little bit more world weary. You know what I mean? Yes. It's a little bit down at heel, and all the funnier for it. Werewolves Within is a gosh howdy, very peppy and fucking perky, little slugger of a film, but it wasn't what I wanted. I am now ready for a werewolf movie that fucking shreds. I want a wet, fucking committed horror werewolf movie now, please. And I'm sure it's out there and I've yet to see it, but if you do have a werewolf movie rec that's new that I haven't seen, I mean, I've seen, Ginger Snaps and Dog Soldiers and Howling and whatnot. I would like a new werewolf movie that takes a fucking run at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I wanted, and that is not what I got.
It's not what you end up with at the end of this movie. And it's, I think, I don't necessarily need mine to be always as cynical as Wolf of Snow Hollow is, which is one of my favorite movies of the past that I've watched in the past year. I really love that movie.
Yeah, same.
And just, I'm a Jim Cummings fangirl. I just think he's wonderful. But yeah, I think it shared a lot in tone with it. It also had kind of a Knives Out sort of feel to it. Things that I like. And then I just felt like when it came to the end of it, it did all the things that I don't want a movie to do. And I'm not going to give that away. I don't want to give it away because
fine.
Because it is all your reveal and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to ruin this for people who will watch it, because it is a popular movie. I don't regret spending my $7 on it or whatever, but I was just disappointed in what I ended up with.
Your guy who made it has been trying to manifest himself into getting a remake of Darkman off the ground, which I'm all for. Go for it, buddy.
He's also the one, so he did Scare Me, which I did not like. And you kept trying to get us to watch because you kept forgetting I did not like it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And which is a great concept, but I think was too clever for its own good. Tried to do too much. And this he didn't write, but I also feel like it thought it was more clever than it was, and sort of suffered some of the same issues that I had with Scare Me. If you liked Scare Me, I don't know, maybe you'll like this, but I don't know. It's some of the same issues, but it's not all of the same issues. It's a different thing.
Loads and loads of people are enjoying Werewolves Within, and quite rightly so, because it isn't by any stretch a bad film. It's very likable.
Not a bad movie. Nope. It's very
it's not the one I wanted to watch.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I am with it, where it's much like when I saw Zola this week. It's not the movie I wanted to watch. So yeah, I mean, I'm not recommending against. I think you should watch it. And like I said, the leading man is wonderful, and it's Milana Vaintraub. who you'll recognize from the commercials for whatever cell phone company that she advertises for, and she's kind of like the Flo from Progressive of that company. Which you don't have that either, do you? You don't know who Flo?
No.
Flo. Everyone in America knows who Flo from Progressive is, and they know who Milana Vayntrub is, but they don't know her name.
No.
You would
Are we
know
talking
her
about
face.
her from Werewolves Within?
Yes.
Okay.
And she is in commercials here. She has been in these commercials for the past like 5 years.
She's Flo.
Oh no, she's not Flo.
Oh,
she's just like Flo. She is a similar person that everyone knows exactly who she is. So any American who looks at her, like the second she was revealed, my husband was like, "Oh, it's her." I was like, "Yeah, it's that girl."
You see what's happened here?
Am I out?
Fuck off, Siri.
What happened?
Siri decided to get involved. And she's still fucking... Sorry. I've got a new Mac and I'm still finding my way around it. Hang on. Let me just turn this off.
Let's just watch Mark figure things out. Let's see if his weird American Adam Sandler accent comes out as he tries to fix it. No?
Okay, we're back. What came out as I was trying to fix it?
No. I was wondering if your Adam Sandler voice would come out, because that's what you do whenever you try to fix something. You do Adam Sandler voice.
I do Adam Sandler voice when I've got time to think about it. You know, when I'm trying to fucking... When I'm up against it, I just fuck off, sir, you fucking kindness.
What else have you watched this week?
I filled, and this isn't really in Joag territory, but I had an evening and I thought, right, I can either spend the rest of my life telling myself that I'm finally going to watch Heat, or I can sit the fuck down and watch Heat at last.
Yes.
So I watched Heat, and yeah, I'm very, very glad I did. Fuck me, what a great film that was.
Turns out it's actually a really good movie.
God damn, yes, it does. I had no idea Val Kilmer was in it. Wonderful.
Oh, Val. So I told this story on my Twitter briefly in my 280 characters. What do we have on that now? 270? I don't know, whatever we have on Twitter. Anyways, briefly, but when I was a sophomore in college,
what does that mean, by the way?
So second year of college.
Okay. Cool.
We used to go see Jimmy Kimmel tapings all the time. And so I was going to see a Jimmy Kimmel taping and was standing waiting in line. And it just so happens, so this is 2005, the Kiss Kiss Bang Bang premiere happened to be across the street. So we could see like all these people pulling up and whatnot, red carpet, the whole to-do, everything going on over there. And we're standing in our line, just like waiting to get in. And then Val Kilmer, for whatever reason, was like really curious about what was going on our side of the street. So he comes over from his premiere and is like, hey, what are you guys waiting for? And we're like, oh, Jimmy Kimmel show. He's like, oh, really cool. And he just like shakes everyone's hands. This is obviously before everyone had camera phones and everything. So it's not like everyone was like, hey, let's take a selfie. Just shakes everyone's hands and then just walks back over to his premiere.
Terrific.
Like, okay.
Very
we just all met Val Kilmer.
Very
what
nice.
Do you know? I have had an affinity for him, much like my Brendan Fraser affinity. Like when you have a weird interaction with someone, they become like your little like thing.
Your pet celebrity, yes, your pet movie star. But yes, he was terrific. It just what a solid piece of work. Takes itself very seriously, as it ought. You know, it gets that compliment, which in 2021 is the highest compliment you can bestow upon a film. I didn't touch my phone for 3 hours. There you go. That you know, in the hell in which we all live right now, that's the best thing you can possibly say about a movie as far as I'm concerned. I wasn't once tempted to gaze into the fucking glowing chasm of despair which lives in my pocket.
I think I even texted you at one point during it, and you were like watching it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna let you finish then. Just
superb.
Yeah, have a great time with that, which is good choice.
Onto A Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh yeah, we watched that this week.
Now, I fell asleep, right? I know. I'm not sure how much I napped out on, because there's a threshold. I don't know if I slept enough to warrant going back and watching the whole thing again, or did I just?
Or did you miss like 5 minutes?
Exactly. So, A Quiet Place Part 2 fans, help me out. I fell asleep. Cillian Murphy has just gone out to rescue the girl.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I woke up. I think I did miss quite a bit. I woke up when they were on some fucking... They were setting fire to some rapists on a dock.
Oh my God. Yeah, you missed most of the movie.
Fuck. All right.
You have to watch it again. That's so much movie.
He'd found her and they were like, she was being held captive by some guys.
Oh no. Yeah, you missed a lot.
All right.
Yeah, you gotta go back, buddy.
I'll go back. All right.
You have not seen A Quiet Place 2.
I'll reserve judgment in that case. I was enjoying the fuck out of it, but I was sleepy. Yeah. Sleepy boy. Sleepy place. Again, the world of A Quiet Place gives Last of Us vibes, Last of Us light, as my brother put it.
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us, which is currently in development with fucking Pedro Pascal.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Started filming this last week.
So I'm in.
As am I. Anyway. I just hope to fuck they don't skimp on the unrelenting bleakness and gore and oh god, The Last of Us is the least fun you will ever have playing a game, and yet at the same time is compelling and brilliant. Last of Us 2 was one of the fucking
Who's making
finest. I want to say HBO. I don't know. I'll let me just double check.
You go ahead with that as I look at what else I watched this week. Okay.
It is indeed HBO, yes.
Okay. We'll see with that. Multiple things here. Okay. I watched The Amusement Park. Have you watched that?
The Amusement Park.
Yeah. This is so it's George Romero.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
It's here. Shudder has been featuring it. When you like your immediate featured things when it comes up, it's like 54 minutes long, and it is the most miserable 54 minutes you will spend in your entire life. Fuck me. This is so, how as we were talking about fears and you were talking about like your body and like the eventual like aging and what that does to you.
Yes.
That's what this movie is. It was made for like some Lutheran group apparently, to talk about how elderly people are mistreated in society. And
fuck that.
Boy, does it work. It is the bleakest thing I've ever seen. I sobbed through like 30 of the 54 minutes of this movie. It was just, my God. It's effective. It did exactly what it's supposed to do. But yikes.
Because it sounds like it might be quite fun.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. So basically the premise of this movie, you start with this guy who is like this old man, bloodied, sitting in like a waiting room, and another version of himself walks into that waiting room. And he's like, that guy is like very peppy and whatnot. And he's like, oh, have you gone outside? And the guy's like, don't go out there. And he's like, well, I think I'm going to go out. It's going to be great. And he's like, no, And so the guy goes out and he goes to this amusement park where basically everything works against him. And he's lonely and scared and mistreated. And like, there's this one moment in it that is like the most heart-wrenching thing where he finally finds like this little girl who is like, oh, like, come over here. And he's like, me? And she's like, yeah, come over here. And she's like, has him sit down and she gives him a piece of chicken and he's reading a book to her. And then the mom is like picking up the stuff and packing and they leave. And he's trying to like desperately keep reading the book to her as she leaves. And I was a mess. Like, it's the lead in this, again, he's only in 3 things total, I think, and 2 of them are George Romero's things. He actually lived to be like 100 years old. So he died in like 2009 or something like that, and he is playing an old man in this movie from like 1970. it's just, yeah, it's a lot. So, hey, it's George Romero. If you want to see it, watch it. But just FYI, I don't know, take drugs or something first. It's horrible. Like, oh my God.
Podcast idea, CoRri acts out films. Because the first bit of that was amazing. And he's like, hey, come on in. And the guy walks in, gives him a bit of chicken. I would watch that. Don't tell me what film you're acting out. And I just want to watch maybe 90 minutes of you. And then the girl. I would watch that. I think that would be a good podcast.
Someday
CoRri
that'll be like, we'll make a Patreon where I act out movies. Thing. Yes, that would be fun. But I also, because of our episode last week, I watched Alita Battle Angel.
And are you now a Nazi?
I might be a Nazi. I get what it's tough because I don't want to blame it on the movie, but I completely understand after watching it why the alt-right jumped on this movie. Like,
so why? What am I not getting?
So it does not pass the Bechdel test at all. Never do two women speak to each other that are like, basically never did two women speak to each other.
Yeah,
there's like
true.
two lines that pass between the girl, the girl from To All the Boys I've Loved Before and her. They say like 3 words to each other in this, and that's like about it. So there's no women talking to women in it at all. She immediately does like just fall in love with the first man she sees. She has this thirsty ass look that we've been imitating in this household ever since then. By the way, my husband likes this movie too, but then he watched it with me with this lens and was like, "Ooh, yeah, nope, I see it.
Right.
She has this like every time she talks, she's like, she has this like look like, oh, like she's just about to like tear the clothes off this guy every time she talks to him, and you're like, yikes, bruh, like take it down 37 notches. Like, that's what hilarious. In the world? The whole thing is just like her relationship to men. And like, yeah, okay, I get why the alt-right was like, this is the kind of woman we can get behind.
Okay.
Like, the whole movie is about a woman and her relationship with guys. Okay. And and also like just what she looks like just like this very, like, she looks like a kid, but she's also a woman. like okay, yeah, nope, I see it.
Ruined it for me.
You'll still enjoy it. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but there was stuff to like throughout the movie. I didn't watch the movie like, oh, I'm hating every moment of this. It just like it didn't like hit hard for me. But I didn't hate it. That was the way I looked at it.
I'm a simple man, right? And I enjoy big robot fights. I enjoy those a lot.
And the fights in it are crazy. I think that's really where this thing excels. Is like I can't fault any of that. The first thing, like the big giant guy showed up and I just went, oh, he too big. Like, what? He too big. That's too much. And I was in on that.
But listen, hey, good on you for following up, because I have not.
You did not.
Underground. No,
even when I attempted to get you to.
On the other hand, I fell asleep through Quiet Place 2 instead of it, and you wouldn't have wanted me to fall asleep through Underground, would you?
It's not what it's called, but
fuck, what's it called?
Southbound.
They rhyme.
Touche, Mark. Touche.
I didn't get it right, but
watch it this week. Watch Southbound this week.
I'll watch it before Sunday. I'll watch it before Sunday.
You won't, but it's cute.
I will.
Okay. And together we watched Fear Street.
No, that's the one that we've been building up to talking about, isn't it? Fear Street. I don't think it's overselling it to call it a horror event.
That's true.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
And for that reason alone, I'm going in enjoying it, right? Because as I've spoken about before, I love people who are willing to push a format willing to fuck about with a format. And that's what it feels Fear Street is doing. It reminded me of the absolute mind-blowing thrill of seeing Back to the Future 2 at the cinema, and then it finishing and going, how the fuck is there a trailer for number 3 already? Fuck.
Yeah, totally.
And completely blowing my mind, knowing that number 3 exists already. Fuck me, I just haven't seen it. But I got that same excitement from Fear Street, knowing I've just seen something really cool and knowing, fuck yeah, there's another one right around the corner. Bang.
Which looks better, honestly. This was a fun movie. The trailer for the next one that comes at the end of it looks even better. This one was fun with flaws.
Yes. It took a while. I mean, I was ready to give up on it. But kind of going, But then it got good. It gets really good about a third of the way through. But it mate, we get that you're in the fucking 90s. You can calm down.
It was, at first I was into it. I was like, oh man, the bangers that they're putting in this. I was like, this is taking me straight back. And then it was like, okay, they're playing 10-second clips of every song from the era.
Yeah, and literally without any scenic need to do it. Oh, bang! Here's 5 seconds of garbage. Bang! Here's 5 seconds of Cypress Hill. Boom! Here's 5 seconds of SoundCloud. You've done it, mate.
We know where we are.
I get it. Oh, he's playing Castlevania. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, look at dial-up internet tone. We fuck. All right, it's in the 90s. Chill. We know.
Yeah. And yet
so
they still used Calibri font in there, which did not exist at the time. It was funny because I was watching it and I almost texted you like, about Calibri, and then I was like, no,
I would have enjoyed that.
I'm not gonna be that guy. But then someone else tweeted it and I was like, okay, good, that's not just me then, because I was like, I'd never even heard of this font until I became a professor, because it didn't exist when I was in college. So I was like, how is that?
Have a favorite font, CoRri?
Do I have a favorite font?
Yeah. You strike me as somebody who might have a favorite font.
It's true. I mean, when it comes to like writing something seriously, I'm a straight up, Times New Roman person. But I like Baskerville. I'm a big fan of Baskerville as a font.
Very nice. Yeah, real nice.
What about you? Do you have a favorite font?
No.
No.
No, I don't.
You're like, no, you're the kind of doofus who has a favorite font. I do not.
Wingdings, mate. Straight up wingdings.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Joe, if you type in 9/11 was an inside job in Wingdings, you get the
I've seen it's like the little towers or whatever. Yeah.
And like a Star of David, something Jewy happens as well. I don't know.
Which I've never typed in myself, so I don't know if that's just a meme or if that actually is what you get when you do it. But
I think it is. However, right, Fear Street. So
yeah,
when it establishes itself very firmly in a particular era, then you realize, hang on, there's fucking loads to love about this film.
Yeah.
Right? The color palette is so
oh my god,
beautifully unsubtle.
It's my dream. And it's very Fear Street, which you don't have any frame of reference for, but I loved Fear Street. I mean, I was an R.L. Stine stan. I read all of the Goosebumps, watched all of the Goosebumps, read the Fear Streets. I still read Fear Street. Like, I have an actual collection of physical Fear Street books that I will read from time to time. And the color palette is Fear Street.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. I love it.
Neon, just fucking garish neons thrown everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's also it's almost a slavishly Wes Craven inspired film.
Yes.
Right? It wears its
especially
heart
in the beginning, but
right on its sleeve. Yeah. It beat for beat almost the opening of Scream.
Including like a straight up reenactment of Casey Becker's death from the original Scream, which I enjoyed.
It isn't shy about its influences at all, right?
Yeah.
But when you get past the clumsiness of it, and when it warms up and you realize what you're watching, it's a load of fun. I got played with some of the deaths. I was not expecting some of the
no kidding. My gosh. Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know, it's been all of it. You know exactly the one of which we speak if you've seen it, which you know don't have. And look, I hate to be predictable, right? I'm so sorry for being predictable, but
here it comes.
Here it fucking comes. This film is a perfect fucking test case, a perfect document, a perfect example, a fucking thesis of how beautifully a new Nightmare on Elm Street could work, right? The characters, there's scenes towards the end of that film that I was tweeting, I was texting to you at the time, wasn't I? With just a little tweak of the script. That film is a fucking Nightmare on Elm Street 2021. And it works so well. And it would work so well.
Do you think the problem is that we keep making Elm Street movies? Like it and this and like so many things are so like using the template that it's almost difficult to make.
And Halloween. You know?
Like, do you think it's difficult now to make an Elm Street movie that's not derivative of the things that are derived from it?
Not at all. Not at all. I hear what you're saying, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But I would respectfully say the exact opposite.
Okay.
All of these wonderful examples of how great an Elm Street movie are doing is just beggaring belief that no one is fucking making it. Right?
Yeah. Fangoria didn't announce that for you today.
Yeah. It part one showed us what a really nice, hard-edged, leaning right into the surreal, loads of really good kills kind of Elm Street movie could be, right? We've proven that it could work beautifully. Halloween has proven to us what the Terminator Salvation Halloween 2018 model might do if we had a fucking old grizzled PTSD Nancy giving it another crack. Fear Street just went ahead and proved us what a sincere, completely fucking gung-ho, let's get some real kids and let's fucking unleash Freddy on them kind of movie might look like.
Right.
It's just test case after test case which show us that it would be fucking brilliant. And the only thing that's difficult to accept is that nobody's fucking doing it. Or at least nobody's ready to announce anything, you know? Right. Movie after movie is coming out and just screaming in my face that the time is right and the audience is ready. You know, Netflix aren't going to give us figures, right? But I'm fucking telling you, I'm certain that Fear Street is doing massive numbers on streaming.
From the reactions I've seen from all over my socials and everything, and given that is obviously skewed, but still people seem to be watching this. It part one at least, highly critically acclaimed, did ridiculous fucking business. Halloween 2018, really critically acclaimed, you know what I mean? Really proper serious bits of horror, really good movies, as well as being good horror movies. It doesn't have to be fucking, please rinse the remake out of your fucking mouth. It's time. It's fucking time, man. There's no reason why not. Yeah.
And I've finished with it for this week. That's this week's installment.
It was necessary. We got it out there.
Yeah. Same time Sunday. See you then.
Yes. Thanks for coming along with us on this supposed mini-sode that I think is just as long as a regular episode.
Way, there we go. This has been the Jack of All Graves midweek movie madness special. That's what this has been.
Yes. And it was a blast.
It was a blast. Listen, this might be a little bit body horror, but I know it's been a good jog when I'm kind of a little sweaty, you know?
Oh, I'm always sweaty.
Yeah. I've got a window open. But I know it's been a good jog when I'm covered in a film of my own fluids, you know?
Oh, we'll leave you all with that wonderful image. And until next week, hey.
It's been quite an earthy episode.
Stay spooky, friends.
Yeah, lads. Mwah.